Greetings from Gosford. It's a very muggy day here on the coast. It's been quite damp overnight, but nevertheless another beautiful day. The water's like a mill pond, very, very still, as you can see. Just beginning to see a few reflections in the water. Today I wanted to talk about something that has been on my mind for a long while, and it arises out of experiences I've had with relationships with people. And I suppose when we stop and think about our relationships vary. And when we clash with people, when we have issues with other people, it arises out of the fact that we take things personally, and we might be, for want of a better way of putting it, personally offended by something or someone. You will find that this probably has been your experience just as it has been my experience. And I have no doubt that you can relate to circumstances where you feel hurt by somebody else because in your mind they might not have lived up to your expectations. They may not have acted the way you expected them to act. And for most of us, when this happens, particularly if it's people you really care about, we feel a sense of hurt, pain, whatever you want to call it. We feel as if we have been slighted. And I suppose the thing that really strikes me is how quickly we tend to make things that happen personal. I've been reflecting on this because I often find around Christmas time that people I have really cared about and loved and are still in my life, but I find sometimes that there are issues surrounding those people that just come up whether I like it or whether I don't. And oftentimes when that happens, I suppose I just want to get rid of it. I don't want to have to deal with it. I feel embarrassed that it keeps coming up the way that it does. And so I push it away, just wanting it to go. But the part about that is it's just never gets or never seems to get resolved. And I suppose the question I've asked myself is, why is it that every so often something happens that reminds me of an issue that I need to deal with? And the second part of that question is, why is it that I haven't been able to deal with it? I think the answer to both questions lies in the idea that we make things personal. And I want to just explore that idea just a little bit. When we feel upset by something or someone that causes us to become unsettled and lose our peace of mind, who is it that is upset? And I want you to really think about that. Who is it that is upset? Now, it's really easy to say, I am upset. But can you step back from it as you think about it? The person who gets upset about this or that or whatever, can you step back and see and observe the one that is upset? I know I can, when I really stop and take a good look at what it is that is causing me concern or that has unsettled my spirit, I tend now to step back and look at it. And what I realise, or have come to realise, is that the one who is upset is not really me. The one who is upset is my mind. My mind is upset with my mind. You know, when something occurs to remind us of how we feel about a particular issue or a particular person, when that happens, we automatically go into the mode of thinking a particular way. In other words, we've developed a habit over the years of thinking a particular way when we have certain catalysts that occur, and oftentimes those things will keep occurring and keep coming up in our lives until we recognise that we no longer need them. And unfortunately, with so many people in our lives, so many things in our lives, we tend to make things that happen personal. In other words, the ego gets upset, the mind or the ego gets upset with whatever it is that has snuck in to unsettle the thoughts. Now that might sound a little bit silly, but that's really how I see it. You see, I can step back and I can look at, or observe, probably observe is the better word, I can observe when I am upset. I can see myself being upset. And the one who is upset is not the one who is observing. The one who is upset is the ego mind. And when a thought gets introduced into your mind, it's like a thief coming into your house, the automatic reaction to that is to attach yourself to it the way you have always done. And what happens? You become upset, unsettled, disappointed. You feel all those things you felt time and time again when that particular thief comes into your home. So when that particular thief or idea comes into your mind, you automatically get upset. But if you step back from it all and just look at the one who's getting upset, it really isn't you, the real you. It's your mind. Your mind becoming upset, and basically the ego acting in a way that's become so used to acting because that's what you've always done. It's the habit of stinky thinking, for want of a better way of putting it. And all of us, in some way, shape or form, have to deal with our stinking thinking. You've probably heard that term before. But all of us have to deal with that. And what we don't realise is that we are not the thief that comes into the house, and we are not the one who becomes unsettled and loses their peace of mind. But we can, if we step back and observe that whole scenario, we can see that the one who is unsettled, the one who's lost their peace of mind, is the mind itself, is the ego, the mind ego. And the fact that some things keep recurring in our lives, coming back again and again, suggests two things. A, there's a lesson there that we haven't yet learned. And B, we need to step back from it. We need to welcome it into our lives, and we need to allow ourselves to become free of it. Many of us become caught up in scenarios and ways of thinking that keep us locked in. It's like we're in a jail, but it's a jail of our mind's making. The one who observes that isn't in that jail. He's totally free. The problem is we think that we are the mind. We think that we are the ego. But the reality is we are not the mind or the ego or the physical body. We are much more than that. And when things occur in our lives that bring up hurts and pains or disappointments, they happen for a reason. And the main reason is to I suppose, bring us to a deeper of awareness of our own real self. We've become so used to identifying with our thoughts and whether they be negative or positive, and so used to be thinking that we are this particular person or that particular person, and it's purely habit, the habit of thinking a particular way. You know, I was only thinking to myself as I was walking this morning, there are times where I felt very disappointed with myself over things that have occurred or things I could have done better, and I'm probably not the only person in that boat. But who is the one that is disappointed? Is the one that is disappointed the real you, your true essence, the one who can observe what's going on and see the interplay of the mind and the mind games that occur and the mind attacks that occur? Is the real person the one experiencing the mind attacks and the negative thinking and the difficult challenges? Or is the real person the one who's observing the struggle that one seems to be having? And the reality is, the real person is untouched by any of the negativity, any of the anger or resentment. They're totally untouched. It's your real true self is totally untouched by it. Your true self is totally perfect and complete as it is. But a lot of us think we're not good enough. A lot of us think we need to be more than we are. A lot of us think that unless I become this person, I just won't be successful. There's all sorts of ways of thinking. But the reality is, your true essence, your true self, the one who is able to observe the interplay of life and the, I suppose, the games that the mind plays, and experience the mind attacks where you become really upset and attached to a particular way of thinking and allow it to disturb you. The one who observes all that is untouched by any of that. Yet we believe that we are the one who is going through all those things. And the challenge we all have is a challenge to step back and to welcome these disturbances that occur into our lives. Not to judge them, not to resist them, but to welcome them. And in welcoming them, just to stand firm and allow them to be. Understanding that they're really not you, and they don't determine the quality of the person that you truly are. Who you really are is somebody wonderful, somebody beautiful, somebody complete. But so often we allow our stinky thinky to tell us that that's not the case. And the truth is, we are much, much more than we give ourselves credit for, because we are too attached to a particular habitual way of thinking and to things that come up in our lives that disturb our peace of mind. We attach ourselves to them. They're like the thief entering into the house, and bang, we become the thief. We become attached to that particular scenario, thought, idea. When the reality is, it's just a thought that comes and that goes. All of our thoughts, as I've said before, are like clouds in the sky. They come and they go. All of our emotions are like clouds in the sky. They come and they go. They arise and they dissipate. They arise and they dissipate. The one who attaches themselves to those emotions or to those thoughts that arise and dissipate like clouds in the sky, the one who attaches themselves is the ego, is the mind. Now, the mind is a very, very wonderful tool, but it's also a very powerful tool. It can be a positive thing and it can be a negative thing. But in saying that, when we identify totally with the mind and are not able to understand that we're not the mind, that these are just thoughts that arise, ideas that arise, and just as they arise, they will dissipate. So if you are facing a challenge where you are feeling something has occurred that keeps coming up in your life and remind you of something, welcome it. Because the only way you are going to become free of it is through welcoming those things into your life that you are dissatisfied with, allowing them to speak their truth to you without attaching yourself to it. And the more you can allow them to be and allow yourself just to let them be, the more they will lose their hold over you and lose their energy to influence you, because you will come to understand that you are not that negative feeling, thought, idea, whatever. When Jesus spoke, he talked about the peace that he could give that the world could not give. And that peace is the peace that comes through the deep understanding that you are not the physical world, that you are not the experiences that you have in the physical world, whether they be positive or negative. They're simply experiences that you have. And if you recall the story in the Gospels where Jesus went out in the boat with his disciples and a great storm came up and he slept through the storm while everyone else panicked. Well, you know, that figure of Jesus, that symbolic idea of Jesus sleeping in the storm, is like our true essence. It's totally, totally untouched by the things that occur around us. Unfortunately, the disciples represent our mind, where we attach ourselves to whatever it is that is occurring. So the truth of that story, as I see it, is coming to understand that Jesus was teaching us simply to step back from things, to let things be as they are, without attaching any emotion or feeling to them. Because the moment we touch our emotional feeling, attach our emotion or feeling to those things, we totally lose our perspective, our sense of peace, our sense of mind. We lose a sense of self. And we need to be able to have a profound sense of self in the midst of any storm that comes to us in life. In the midst of any situation that we find ourselves in, we need to be able to be the one who simply sleeps through it and doesn't allow it to affect us. A little bit like a rock with the huge waves crashing all around it, but not in any way, shape or form being disturbed by it. And if you are finding yourself dealing with things like this, where you lose your peace of mind very quickly over things, simply ask God, turn to prayer, ask God to dissolve those things that are upsetting you, that are affecting you. Ask him to help you to basically release them totally, and to be like Jesus in the boat, or to be like the one in the middle of the cyclone, where everything is totally calm and totally at peace. Life is always calling us to trust in life. Life is always calling us to recognize who we truly are. And who we truly are is exactly like Jesus, exactly like Buddha, for that matter, any of the great spiritual teachers who came to realize their true essence, and also to recognize that that they are having different experiences in life, and their challenge is to basically transcend those experiences and come to a deeper realization of of who they are as the divine one. I wish you every blessing, and I join now with you, and I pray with you, as I do for myself, that those things that challenge us in life might be dissolved into our very essence, so that we come to understand that really they are not us, they're just experiences that we're having to bring us to a deeper appreciation of who we truly are. God bless you all, and all the very best, and I'll talk to you again. Bye for now.